So S3, as we have discussed on the previous classes about the storage types, I told you that we had two storages. Mainly we divide that storage into two types, and we call them as object storage and block storage. And with Amazon Web Services, they call the block storage as elastic block storage, and they call the object storage as simple uh, storage services, S3. So I also told that the examples of S3 is like Dropbox or Google Drive. In S3, we have this. Let me open up that previous. Yeah, here. Yeah. So I shared my screen. So please look on that. So here you can see two types of storage. One is block storage and object storage. We use this block storage for attaching the storage devices to instances. So, and they call it as elastic block storage with Amazon Web Services. The only purpose of block storage is to attach to the instances as hard drive. And on the block storage we had different types again: SSD and normal hard disk. And he calling that block storage types, again he divided into the two types into three types. Under the SSD he divided into two types, and he called it as provisioned IOPS, general IOPS. And for normal hard disk, he called, Amazon guys is calling it as magnetic hard disk. That's the reason while launching this instances, when you choose for EBS, you have to specify the size of the elastic block storage while creating the EBS, and you have to specify the type of the elastic block storage, whether you're going to launch uh, general purpose IOPS, or whether you're going to launch magnetic or provisioned IOPS. That's about all about elastic block storage. We talked about this type on the EC2 class while we are launching these instances. So what is object storage? We use this object storage for storing these objects. Objects are nothing but the files. Okay, for object storage, so we have the data. For the data what we upload on this object storage, for the data they call it as object. For each object consists of data, and it consists an ID, a unique ID. Unique ID, like it provides an URL for that. Let us say for every resource we launch in Amazon Web Services instances, EBS, VPC, IG, Internet Gateway, or Customer Gateway, VPN tunnel, for everything whatever the resource we launch with Amazon Web Services, he is providing a unique ID, right? Similarly, an object storage on S3, for every object we add, for that object he'll give an unique URL, and he is calling that URL, he is calling that ID as Amazon resource name, ARN. Okay, and also apart from this, he is having, with every object he is maintaining a metadata. What is the difference between this data, real data, and the metadata is, in real data we'll have our uploaded data, and metadata is something about who uploaded this, from which account, which user has uploaded this data, and what is the size of the data, what is the type of the data, what are the permissions this data has with other users or the uploaded users, everything. What are the security concepts, everything. So it is, this metadata covers all the features of what the data is all about. Okay, this is what. So for every object we upload, we'll have ID, unique ID, the real data, the metadata. Okay, so coming to S3, so here with Amazon Web Services, you can find the S3 under the category storage and content delivery, because we store the data with Amazon S3 and they call it as scalable storage in the cloud. Why they are calling this simple storage service as scalable storage in the cloud? Full form of S3 is simple storage service only. Because we can scale the size of the S3. ఒక S3 bucket కి ఒక size అంటూ ఉండదు. Maximum 1 TB, 2 TB, 3 TB and unlimited size. You can upload n number of files to that S3. The thing is that enter into the S3 service, and S3 is not restricted to one region only. It is global. When I click on this S3, it goes to global. So under S3, first and the most step we have to do is, first we have to create bucket. So bucket is nothing but, backend we call it as a directory, the main directory or root directory. So under that bucket we'll add all the objects. For each and every bucket, a bucket size is unlimited and so create a bucket and make sure that bucket name is unique అండి. ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఒక bucket create చేశారు ఇక్కడ. You cannot create this another bucket with the same name. So whatever the objects you upload in the bucket, those are stored in the same bucket, and the bucket is applicable on globally. While creating the bucket, you'll specify in which region you are exactly wanted to create this bucket. Singapore, Ireland. But after creating the bucket, it is not restricted to only that particular region. It is open to all the regions, all the global. You can access the bucket from anywhere. So అంటే బ్యాక్ ఎండ్లో ఏమవుతుందంటే, ఫస్ట్ bucket you created with Singapore, automatically he'll maintain at the back end replicas of that bucket. Maybe on the same region, we don't know. Maybe on the different availability zone of the same region, we don't know. Maybe across the different regions on the back end what ఎలా maintain చేస్తుంది, because he is telling that my S3 service I'll provide you to the customers of SLA 99.99999, all 99% of SLA. So whenever it's like scenario and whenever you upload something, you upload some object to the bucket in with Amazon S3, he's saying for 100 years, for 100 years, sorry, for 1000 years, if you maintain your data, there may be a chance of missing 1 MB file. అంత గ్యారంటీ. అంటే వాడు ఎస్ఎల్ఏ, వాడు ఇచ్చిన ఎస్ఎల్ఏ అప్ టైమ్ ఎస్ఎల్ఏ 99.99 వాల్యూ అదేం చెప్తున్నాను. So the other thing is, so whatever the objects we upload in this bucket, so what is the maximum file size of the object? Object అంటేనే ఫైల్ అండి. So what is the maximum size of the object that we can upload with Amazon S3? For bucket unlimited అని చెప్పారు. So for every object we had a limit, and that limit is 5 TB, terabyte, not MB, GB, it's TB. So you can upload a single file of size 5 TB with Amazon S3 bucket. So assume ఒక మూవీ ఉంది 5 TB మూవీ single file .mp3 file you can upload it. That is what that's a huge, very large size. And on each and every bucket he is maintaining the properties. And so first let us see how to create a bucket. So this is what the Amazon main web console. Go for S3. Click on create bucket. So name the bucket. The name should be unique. And so, and why we need to choose this region? Ante real ga the bucket will be created in one of the region, and we have to specify the region because to escape from the latency period. And so as I am in India, for me Singapore is nearby, so I'll go for Singapore. If you are in US, you go for the related the nearby region to you. I'll call this as test case AWS. Okay, I'll create it as Singapore. Create. So the buckets got created. So bucket dot created and the bucket properties test case AWS. Okay, the name I have given is test case AWS, and it is created in the region Singapore, but it is open to global. This bucket will serve to the global regions. And creation date. So who is the owner? With which ID I was created it? So my root account interest underscore variables, with that account I created, so I am the owner and I have the full permissions on this bucket. So for every bucket we'll have the permissions, and a permissions ఏంటి whom should have what access on this bucket అనేది permissions level. So here you can see interest underscore AWS, as I am the creator of this bucket, the AWS guy has given the complete permissions for me on this bucket. So I can list all the files of the bucket. If I open the bucket, I can see what are all the files that are in the bucket. I mean the objects. And I can upload some more objects to it, and if I want I can delete the objects from the bucket. And I can see what are the permissions that are on the particular object. So is it shared with some other AWS user, or it is open to the world? I can see the permissions also, and also I can edit the permissions also. This is what the permissions differences between list, upload or delete, view permissions or edit permissions. So if I want to add another user to have the access to this bucket, and I want to restrict that users only for uploading and deleting the file, and I want to restrict that users for he don't have should have the access of viewing the permissions, who else can has the access on that bucket and who can edit that bucket. On those cases I'll go for add more permissions. I'll specify who is the user, and the users ఏంటి అంటే see I am with Amazon Web Services under the root account. So as I told you, there is a service called IAM, Identity and Access Management. With the help of that service, you'll create standard users or sub-users under the root users. Okay, with the help of this Identity and Access Management service, you create users and you manage that users by writing policies on them. So whom should have what access, whether he should have the complete access on S3 or he should have only the read access on S3, and ఇక్కడ users create చేసి we can manage that users. I'll tell you later about this complete. We'll have one class on this. So just keep in mind that by IAM users by IAM service, identity and access management service. We create users, the sub-users under the root user, and we can write the policies on the users such a way that whom should have what access of Amazon complete resource on the dashboard. So here we can specify, let us say Khathi third p at the rate info. Already had users with this name. Okay. So he can only, this user can only list, only view the this bucket, test case bucket, and he cannot upload or delete. He can only read it. He cannot view who others had the permissions on this bucket. Okay, save. Like that, we can give the permissions to other users. If you want some customized bucket policy, you can customize it from this add bucket policy type. So ఇక్కడ ఏంటి అంటే it's not like we have to write the code here. So we don't know code. Some people say మా code రాదు. So how should we write the code? So అసలు first gather the requirement, what you wanted, what kind of restrictions or what kind of restrictions you wanted to do. So for that we had a customized GUI, graphical user interface, and he is calling that graphical user interface as AWS policy generator. From here at the bottom of this you can see AWS policy generator. By using this policy generator you can generate a policy. So first we have to select the policy type. Which policy? S3 bucket policy kada we're talking about. So what? Allow, deny or allow. So S3 service actions. For allow, deny for what? Create bucket, delete bucket, or delete bucket policy, or delete bucket website, or object in that bucket, or versioning. For every bucket we'll maintain versions. First let me tell that you all this, let me explain all these concepts, then you'll get. So permissions is something about that. Second is static website hosting. Static website hosting and yesterday I have said you that with Amazon Web Services, if you wanted to host a static website until you don't have any dynamic content on the static website, simply a blog. The website that is written with HTML, okay, doesn't require any it don't have any dynamic content. Such kind of websites can be hosted on this bucket, S3 bucket. Simply upload the static website to one of the bucket, create bucket, name that bucket, and upload that bucket. Sorry, and upload the website to that bucket, and enable static website hosting. Automatically, it will give you a link, endpoint link istundi. And the website, our link తీసుకెళ్ళి, you have to keep that link in your DNS server. ఏమని? You have to create a CNAME record. Like, if you want to name this website as www.xyz.com, so first you have to purchase this xyz.com with Route 53 registry, domain registry, and you have to create a host zone on that www.xyz.com. Right click, Route 53. First you have to purchase this domain name from here. what domain name you wanted to purchase, xyz.com. Okay, check చేసి purchase చేసుకోండి. After that you have to create a hosted zone for that domain. Create hosted zone xyz.com. Under that hosted zone you have to create a record. Sorry, here ఇక్కడ ఏ రికార్డ్ ఏంటి, ఇది సర్వర్ కాదు కాబట్టి you are hosting that website on the bucket S3. So for that bucket S3 he is providing you a link as a endpoint link. So copy this link and create a cname record. నేను చెప్పాను cname అంటే alias. So whenever somebody types www.xyz.com, that request should redirect to this URL. And under this URL what we had the static website. So that static website will get served to the client. Like this we can create a static website hosting from this Aws S3 bucket. Okay, this is one concept we can do with this bucket, S3 bucket. Next, logging. So after enabling this website or something, let us assume you have enabled the website on this Amazon S3 bucket, a static website, and you wanted to maintain your log files. Who is accessing this bucket, from which IP people are accessing this bucket, and what exactly he is accessing in my bucket, home page, careers page, about us page, what exactly he is accessing. So for that, if you want to enable a logging on the bucket, from here just go to this logging session and click on the enable, and after enabling it, the logs has to store somewhere, right? For that also you have to create another bucket, or else if you had some bucket you will specify the bucket name. So what happens, ఒక bucket లో website ఉంటుంది, it will get served to the client through DNS route 53 కాన్సెప్ట్ నుంచి, and దాని పక్కనే ఇంకో bucket ఉంటుంది. Whatever the customers log in that website, whenever they visit the website, ఆ logs వచ్చేసి secondary bucket లో will get stored. This is how it works. If you are planning to host a website with Amazon S3 static website. S3 bucket and name it as something. You hosted some website above it and you have connected it to route 53 with cname record, and clients are accessing like www.xyz.com. Then the first request they go to DNS server, and DNS server knows that this S3 bucket's URL, saying that www.xyz.com అనేది some AWS dot so and so link lo undi. That link is given by this AWS S3 guy after creating a bucket or after enabling this website hosting. Enable website hosting వెంటనే ఈ లింక్ అప్ అయిపోతుంది, and this link will become public to the world. ఈ వరల్డ్ కి ఓపెన్ అవుతుందండి. It will become public. Right away this link was private. Only if I open on this link, see, if I want to open this link, when I click on this link, it is saying 404 not found because you are not authorized person for this. After enabling this enable website hosting, అక్కడ బ్లూ కలర్ నుంచి అది రెడ్ కలర్ మారిపోతుంది, ఆరెంజ్ కలర్ మారిపోతుంది. That means that this bucket is open to world. Whoever has that link can open and see the content of the bucket, and whether they can download the content or only read the content అనేది here from the file permissions. From the permissions we'll specify that. So I have to add a permission saying that everyone should have only list and read access on the bucket. And who is everyone? Public. Enable చేశాను కాబట్టి. So they cannot download the content of my website. They can view the website. If I say that everyone should have access of upload or delete the content. They can download the content, okay, even if they want they can delete the content. Like that, this is about the static website hosting on the bucket and enabling the logging on the bucket. This is the second concept is events. So వెబ్సైట్ హోస్ట్ చేశాను, వాటి లాగ్స్ క్యాప్చర్ చేస్తున్నాను. ఐ వాస్ సర్వింగ్ ద వెబ్సైట్స్ టు రౌట్ 53 టు ద క్లయింట్స్. సో హౌ డు ఐ నో ఇఫ్ సమ్వన్ డిడ్ సంథింగ్ ఆన్ దట్ వెబ్సైట్? సో ఐ షుడ్ గెట్ ఏ నోటిఫికేషన్. వాట్ నోటిఫికేషన్? సి, ఎవరైనా ఏదైనా ఆబ్జెక్ట్ డిలీట్ చేస్తారు, ఏదైనా ఆబ్జెక్ట్ పెట్టారు ఆర్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకున్నారు, we call that actions as put. Put is nothing but keep uploading the object in the bucket. Get, get is nothing but downloading the object in the through the bucket. See, I'll call those actions as. For that we have to create a event ante action. So I'll create this as, I'll call it as my watch event, or I call it as XYZ event website cover, something you can name. The name is nothing but name tag you create. Excuse me guys, can you give me just 1 second? I'll be back. Please be on hold. Hello. Yes, and we are talking about these events, right? So by using this event, here we create a event on what action to that occurred with AWS. So sorry, with S3. So if some action occurred with S3, we can get notified with the help of these events. Name that event, and what is the event type? Either put, post, copy with object, or any delete actions performed on that object. So select that. If someone deleted it or someone remodified that object, then I'll trigger a event. So through how? There are some sent to what kind of, see, you can through SMS should I get notified, or through email should I notified, or is there any a quick service? A quick service is nothing but it's like I'll tell you. Let me open it for you. Yeah. See, let us assume you had you have developed one own product, and for that product you have to get notified these events for that. If something did some action on this uh, bucket, if what action, if something removed some object, some user removed some object from that bucket, and you wanted to get notified, you wanted to get notified such a way that you had your own product, you had your own application. On that application, you wanted to trigger a notification, or you wanted to trigger some message through quick services, through APIs, application programming interface. On that scenarios, we'll go with SQS quicks, and for this first we have to create a topic on it. For example, this is SNS notification is nothing but, so if you had some app and you wanted to notify it through that app, a pop-up message has to occur on that app when someone deletes an object in the bucket. To do that, first we have to create one topic on SNS, and you have to add the topic here, the topic name. So right away I had some topics. So like this. Under these topics, you'll specify to whom should and how this SNS should trigger. If it is SES, you'll specify what are all the email IDs. If it is SNS, SMS, you'll specify what are all the mobile numbers that this topic should trigger a message. And what is the topic? What is the content? And a body object. Someone deleted your object from this so and so bucket. And ఒక message అక్కడ కంపోజ్ చేసి పెడతాం ఆ టాపిక్ లో. That content will get popped up on your notification services of your app or your application. Second, versioning. Here you can maintain the versioning on the buckets. So let us assume you have uploaded some file, and the content in the file and the name of the file is some, let us assume sample text అని అనుకోండి, sample.txt format file. .txt అంటే normal text file. So whenever first you upload, it will assume that that file has first version, and you did some changes, you wanted to do some changes. So what you do, you upload the second file to it with the same name, and after changing the content in that file, and it will assume the second upload or the second change on the file as second version. Like that, it will maintain versions on each and every change that you do with the bucket. ఆ బకెట్ లో ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ ని చేంజ్ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు కదా, అప్లోడ్ కానీ డిలీట్ కానీ పుట్ కానివ్వండి, లేకుంటే ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ లో ఫైల్ లో డేటా చేంజ్ అవ్వడం కానీ సేవ్ చేయడం కానీ, ఫర్ ఎవ్రీ యాక్షన్ దట్ యు డూ విత్ ద బకెట్, దిస్ వర్జనింగ్ will maintain a version number on that bucket. So for example, first I created a uh, bucket and I uploaded some object. Let us say I uploaded some object with the name sample.txt. సో దాన్ని వర్షన్ 1 గా, ఇప్పుడు ఎనేబుల్ వర్షన్ చేస్తే ఇక్కడ దాన్ని వర్షన్ 1 గా రిమెంబర్, and and again second what I did, I opened that file and I modified that file and I saved it, and it again it maintains a version 2. Again I opened that file, again I modify, added some content to the file and I also changed it. I saved it. It maintains that change as a version 3. Like that, it maintains some changes. It maintains some changes. Let us assume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 changes maintained చేసింది. On the fifth change, you thought that, oh, I mistakenly committed this fifth change. So I wanted to revert back. I wanted to revert back to my previous third change కి వెళ్ళాలి నేను. ఫోర్త్ అండ్ ఫిఫ్త్ ఏదైతే కోడ్ నేను రాసి ఆ ఫైల్లో పెట్టానో ఆ కోడ్ అంతా వేస్ట్ కోడ్. నార్మల్ సినారియోలో ఏం చేస్తాం, ఆ ఫైల్ ఓపెన్ చేసి ఆ కోడ్ డిలీట్ చేసుకుంటూ లైన్లోనే డిలీట్ చేసుకుంటూ కూర్చుంటాం. హియర్ నాట్ లైక్ దట్. బై ఎనేబులింగ్ దిస్ వర్షనింగ్, యూ కెన్ డైరెక్ట్లీ స్పెసిఫై revert back to version 3. So what happens? The file will get revert back to that particular version. And even also you can revert back again to version 3. Sorry, again to version 4. Sorry, again to version 5 from version 3. అంటే 5 నుంచి 3కి వెళ్ళొచ్చు, 3 నుంచి 5కి రావచ్చు. ఇట్స్ యువర్ చాయిస్ by enabling this versioning on the file. అంటే why we enable this versioning అంటే, the benefits are like accidental recovery. If you accidentally deleted that file, delete చేసినా కూడా అది ఒక వర్షన్ మెయింటైన్ చేస్తుందండి ఆబ్జెక్ట్ పైన, బకెట్ పైన. So you deleted some object on the bucket, it will maintain the version number for that action. So if you want to revert back that action and you want to gain that object or the file, you can do it by this versioning. So next, coming to life cycles. So ఈ life cycle concept ఒకటి remember me first. I have to tell a lot of about this. I'll tell you later. So what is bucket life cycle? So I'll tell this in the next 2 to 3 classes తర్వాత చెప్తాను. Next, coming to cross region, because there is a dependency with this life cycle, I have to complete this glacier concept. Maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow we'll talk about the glacier concept. Then later I'll tell what is life cycle, what is what. Next, cross region replication. See, assume that even though this bucket is global, but you created this bucket with one of the region, Singapore region, and create చేస్తాను ఇందాక what test case AWS అని. So you wanted to maintain another bucket and you wanted to replicate or synchronize the data whatever on this bucket with other bucket, then that can be possible with the help of this cross region replication. అంటే నార్మల్గా ఏమవుతుందంటే సినారియోస్లో where it is helpful అంటే, let us say assume that you had a web server and you had a website on board, and you are serving this website to clients. ఓకే. సో ఈ వెబ్సైట్ ఎలాంటి వెబ్సైట్ అంటే స్టోరేజ్ వెబ్సైట్ టైప్. సో క్లయింట్స్ విల్ అప్లోడ్ ద డేటా. వాట్ డేటా? లెట్ us assume mp3 ఫైల్స్. సో ఆ mp3 ఫైల్స్ స్టోర్ చేయడానికి యూ నీడ్ సమ్ స్టోరేజ్, అండ్ ఇన్ అవర్ కేస్ ద స్టోరేజ్ is Amazon S3. So you had a bucket with Amazon S3. So what happens whenever the client uploads, let us assume ఒక client ఉన్నాడు, ఆ వెబ్సైట్ తన బ్రౌజర్లోకి వచ్చింది. he entered his credentials, యూజర్ నేమ్ అండ్ పాస్వర్డ్. ఆ యూజర్ నేమ్ అండ్ పాస్వర్డ్ ఎక్కడ ఉంటుంది? ఇట్ విల్ స్టోర్ విత్ database server. So for this web server we should have a backend database server. The real website is with the web server, and that username, passwords, the dynamic content would be with this database, and the data what he uploads, the objects, those are with Amazon S3. So it's like scenario, client log into this website page and he entered his credentials, username and password. So this website will check with this database server whether the username and password is real or not. Whether the username is real, oh, there is already a user with this username, and whatever the password he entered, is the password suits with the username. Oh, if it suits, it gives him the login, after login page, the console of this website. Then he uploaded some files. We need some storage to store these files. So we created a bucket with Amazon S3, and we attached the bucket URL. We have to attach this bucket URL ఆ వెబ్సైట్ కోడ్లో రాయాలండి. వాట్ ఎవర్ ద ఫైల్స్ హూమ్ షుడ్ క్రియేట్, ఎవరైనా క్రియేట్ చేస్తే ఆ S3 బకెట్లో ఆ యూజర్కి ఒక సపరేట్ ఫోల్డర్ క్రియేట్ కావాలి. ఆ ఫోల్డర్లో ఆ ఫైల్స్ అన్ని అప్లోడ్ అయ్యి ఉండాలి. Like that you wrote the code on this website. So you are maintaining this all the content, user content at Amazon S3. Let us assume a scenario where mere website yesterday we talked about, if you have wanted to maintain a multiple web servers for serving the clients in different regions considering the latency, or if you wanted to maintain a multiple web servers considering the failover cases, okay, ఆ scenario we'll talk about. We'll have another web server అనుకోండి. ఇక్కడ same website is hosted on this website. So, and even the clients are accessing this website. Okay, this is another website. So for this also, the database should be same. ఇక్కడ ఒక డిఫరెంట్ డేటాబేస్ ఉంది, ఇక్కడ ఒక డిఫరెంట్ డేటాబేస్ ఉంది అనుకోండి. దీంట్లో కొంతమంది యూజర్స్ క్రియేట్ అవుతారు, దీంట్లో కొంతమంది యూజర్స్ క్రియేట్ అవుతారు. సో దిస్ ఈస్ నాట్ లైక్, ఈవెన్ దో యూ హ్యాడ్ ఏ డిఫరెంట్ డేటాబేస్ servers, the different database servers should get replicated with each other. On the back end, these both servers should get replicated. Whatever the data that you add on one database server should get replicated, and the same data has to be added on the other database server. This is what we call as replication. For every change we do with the database server, the data we dump into it, that should be replicated. I mean synchronized. That should be synchronized with other database server. Similarly, similar cases, this is about database. So what about S3? ఒకటే S3 మల్టిపుల్ వెబ్ సర్వర్ కి అటాచ్ చేస్తే అంటే S3 మీద లోడ్ పడుతుంది. So in order to escape such kind of loads, what you have to do, you have to create another S3 bucket, and you have to create replication between these two buckets. It's like a scenario, you had created another bucket for this website, the same website but different physical box, different server, and you'll create the replication between the existing S3 and newly created S3. So what happens, whatever the data or uploads a client does with S3, So that will get same replicated and synchronized with another bucket. తను ఇక్కడ ఒక mp3 telugu.mp3 ఫైల్ ని అప్లోడ్ చేస్తే అలాంటి ఫైల్ సేమ్ రిప్లికేట్ అయ్యి అక్కడ ఒక ఫైల్ క్రియేట్ అవుతుంది. That is what we call it as replication and synchronization. So what happens, ఈ రెండు database servers కానివ్వండి, ఈ రెండు S3 buckets కానివ్వండి, every time they'll talk with each other. Like they also both maintain a version number. If you got any change in your bucket, just push the change to me also. Push the change copy to me also. If you got any new file added to your bucket, send me a copy of that file to me also. Like that, they'll talk with each other and they'll see with each other they both are with same synchronization method. That is what all about the synchronization. If you want to enable synchronization on cross regions, assume that actually మీరు bucket వచ్చేసి సింగపూర్ లో క్రియేట్ చేశారు and you had a very important files on that bucket and client files ఉన్నాయి. You bothered about the security or high availability. On that cases, what you have to do, you have to create another bucket with another region and replicate these two buckets so that whatever the files that are added in this bucket, those will be added on the same bucket also. So if something happens with entire Singapore region, you can retrieve the data from other regions bucket. In this cases, we use this cross region replication. That's the reason he is calling it as cross region replication. Next, tags. Tags ఏంటి అంటే for our remembrance we can add tag అండి. We can add tags to the bucket like we did with S3. Sorry, we did with EC2. Add tag key value. I'll name it as alias name. Alias name. Actual name entry bucket test case AWS. AWS test case. Bucket name is unique. ఇది నా రిమెంబరెన్స్ కోసం అందుకు క్రియేట్ చేశాను. I can say reason also. I can tag reason. ట్యాగ్ అంటే నథింగ్, మనం జస్ట్ ట్యాగ్ చేస్తాం షర్ట్స్ కొన్నప్పుడు వాటి మీద ట్యాగ్స్ వస్తాయి. For that reason for class. Like that, I can add tags for my remembrance and I can save it. Next, request space. So you're saying that Karthik is saying that we'll create a bucket with Amazon S3, we add objects to that S3, we write permissions on that S3, even we can host a static website with S3 and we can maintain, we can even enable the logging on that websites and we can get notified through these events on that website or the bucket, and even we can maintain the versioning on the bucket, cross-region replications. ఇవన్నీ చెప్తున్నాడు. So for all this, who should pay? A bucket owner. So కానీ let us assume you had a website or you are using this bucket. First let us see the pricing. What is the pricing he is offering for it? AWS S3 pricing. For Mumbai region, he's saying that for the first 1 TB వరకు uploads, whatever you upload till 1 TB, he's charging 0.0300 per GB for standard storage, infrequent access storage and glacier storage. Glacier service కి glacier storage ఉంటుందండి. Infrequent access storage ఏంటి అంటే ఈ స్టోరేజ్ బకెట్స్ లో మళ్ళీ టైప్స్ డిఫరెంట్ టైప్స్ ఉంటాయి. I'll tell you. The different types are standard storage. So for standard storage, you'll upload the files and you'll access the files regularly. So basically when you're going with production level for serving the clients, or when you're going with some frequent accessing the data kind of scenarios, I suggest you go with standard storage. So on the standard storage, the accessing rate put get object rate అనేది చాలా fast గా ఉంటుంది with such kind of storage. అంటే back end లో the thing is that we don't know with standard storage on the back end this Amazon guy is maintaining this maybe ఆ servers కి SSD drive పెట్టాడేమో. That's the reason object putting, getting, uploading, deleting అనేది fast అవుతుంది. Standard infrequent access storage అంటే maybe on the back end he is using a normal hard disk యూజ్ చేస్తున్నాడేమో. అంటే ఫ్రీక్వెంట్ గా కాకుండా అప్పుడప్పుడు వాడే such kind of rare downloads or uploads or viewing of that files. In such cases you go with standard infrequent access storage type అని చెప్తున్నాడు. Or glacier storage, it's like ఎప్పుడో ఒకసారి let us say ఒక గవర్నమెంట్ ఆఫీస్ ఉంది. We had a government office. On the office you can see on the records పక్కన అల్మారీస్ లో you'll see a lot of files. ఓకే, కానీ వాడు ఎప్పుడు ఆ ఫైల్ వాడికి 2 years కో 3 years కో ఒకసారి నా ఫైల్ ఓపెన్ చేసడం లేదు, మొత్తం దుమ్ము బట్టి ఉంటాయి. అలాంటి కైండ్ ఆఫ్ డాటా, ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యాడ్ సచ్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ డాటా, you need the data but not frequently, not infrequently also, in very rare cases. Then you store the data with glacier అంటే బ్యాకప్స్. మన ఆఫీస్లో ఏంటి బ్యాకప్స్, రోజు బ్యాకప్స్ ఇస్తుంటాం డేటాని సర్వర్స్ని, కానీ ఎప్పుడు ఆ బ్యాకప్స్ అవసరం పడతాయి, ఎప్పుడో 1 yearలో 2 yearsలో ఎప్పుడన్నా డేటా కరప్ట్ అయితే, లేకుంటే హార్డ్ డిస్క్ మెయిన్ సర్వర్ హార్డ్ డిస్క్ క్రాష్ అయ్యి డేటా లాస్ అవుతాయి, లేకుంటే ఎవరైనా అన్నోయింగ్లీ ఆర్ వాంటెడ్లీ డిలీటెడ్ ద డేటా, సో వీ వాంటెడ్ టు రీకవర్ ద డేటా. అలాంటి కేసెస్లో విల్ పుల్ ద డేటా ఫ్రమ్ ద బ్యాకప్ సర్వర్స్. వెరీ రేర్ కేసెస్. ఆ రేర్ కేసెస్ సచ్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్, ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యాడ్ ఎనీ సచ్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ డేటా, you upload the data with glacier storage. అంటే glacier storage is nothing but backup services. See, అందుకే ప్రైస్ చూసారా, it is differentiating. When it comes to standard storage, he is charging 0.0300 per GB dollars. For infrequent అప్పుడప్పుడు వాడే retrieval data he is charging 0.0190 per GB. For rare cases of scenarios, glacier backup services he is charging 0.0100 per GB. Up to 1 TB e-rate. మీ size వచ్చేసి assume that you had a data that is more than 1 TB up to 49 TB. Between 1 TB and 49 TB the cost varies. For every GB he charged 0.295, so $5.005 he reduced like that, depending upon the size of the data, type of the data, standard storage or infrequent storage or glacier storage. 3 types. Size 1 TB, 49 TB, above 450 TB, above 500 TB, above 4000 TB or above 5000 TB. And region, in which region you are uploading this data. Depending on these 3 concepts, the price of the S3 varies. So the price varies by region, the price varies by storage types, the price varies by size of the data. Okay. So this is about pricing, and apart from this he is also charging apart from this storage. ఇదంతా ఏంటి, స్టోరేజ్ పైన. Okay, I got my power back. Till now I was telling the class through this hotspot, my mobile hotspot. So, so this is all the pricing is about only for storing the data, in which region and what is the size and what is the type. So for even for getting the data or putting the data also he is charging. You see, for put, copy, paste and list data put చేయాలన్నా, or if you want to copy the data, or if you perform among these actions, among these 5 actions, if you perform any one action with the data that what we have stored with Amazon Web Services, for that he is charging $0.005 per 1,000 requested. Whatever the request it is, put or copy or get or post. Let us assume you had a website, static website with Amazon S3 bucket, and ఒక్కసారి 10,000 people send a request to లిస్ట్ అంటే ఆ data మొత్తం వాళ్ళ బ్రౌజర్లోకి తెచ్చుకొని to read that. For every 1,000 requests, for every 1,000 clients access to your website, he is charging you $0.005. ఏంటి ఒక పేజ్, ఒక రిక్వెస్ట్ అంటే యూఆర్ఎల్లో www.xyz.com/home అంటే హోమ్ పేజ్ లోడ్ అవుతుంది, అదొక రిక్వెస్ట్. ఆర్ /career అంటే సేమ్ వెబ్సైట్ లో కెరియర్ పేజ్ లోడ్ అవుతుంది. /about us అంటే అబౌట్ పేజ్. ఫర్ ఎవ్రీ రిక్వెస్ట్ హీస్ ఛార్జింగ్, ఫర్ ఎవ్రీ 1,000 రిక్వెస్ట్ ఈస్ ఛార్జింగ్ దట్ ప్రైస్. సో ఇలా ఫర్ వాట్ standard standard he is charging this price. If you are with infrequent access type, standard infrequent access type of data, he is charging this. And if you are with glacier request, rare request, he is charging this pricing. Okay, కానీ ఇక్కడ మీరు అబ్జర్వ్ చేశారా ప్రైసింగ్ డిఫరెన్సెస్ లో, when you are uploading the data, when you are showing the data with Amazon Glacier, he is charging you very cheap price, right? But when you are trying to retrieve the data, download the data, compared to these services with compared to these types of storage, the retrieval rate is very high, $0.06. అంటే డాటా పెట్టుకోవడానికి హీస్ ఛార్జింగ్ వెరీ చీప్. అదే డాటా కావాలని రిక్వెస్ట్ చేసినప్పుడు హీస్ ఛార్జింగ్ వెరీ హై. దట్స్ వాట్ that's how he's earning. And think about it. And next, data transfer. Even for transfer also, see with Amazon, ఎలా అంటే he'll say whatever the data you upload into my buckets or with my complete entire region, whatever the service it is, maybe S3 or EBS, for uploading I'll consider it as free. మీరు ఎంత మీ దగ్గర ఉన్న డేటాని నాకు ఇచ్చేసేయండి. ఫర్ ద డేటా ఫ్లో, ఆ ఫ్లోకి నేను ఛార్జ్ చేయను, స్టోరేజ్కి ఛార్జ్ చేస్తాను. బట్ ఫర్ దట్ ఫ్లో that has to cross all, that utilizes, this flow utilizes bandwidth కదండి. Data storing is different concept, and data uploading, and it has to cross through that cables and it has to reach to his server, అంటే bandwidth కావాలి. So for that bandwidth, for uploading bandwidth, I'll don't charge anything for you, but for downloading bandwidth I'll charge you. That is what the AWS guy is. So for uploads I'll accept for free. For downloads, transmission of the bandwidth, for archiving your bandwidth, so I'll charge for that. For the data, for that data traffic I'll charge. అని అమెజాన్ ఒక బేసిక్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. మేజర్గా ఇంటర్వ్యూ క్వశ్చన్స్లో అడుగుతారు. డస్ అమెజాన్ guy charges you for in and out traffic flow అంటారు. Then you have to say that Amazon guy will not charge for in traffic flow. He'll only charge for out traffic flow. తన డేటా సెంటర్ నుంచి ఏదైనా బయటికి అప్లోడ్ అవుతుంటే దానికి ఛార్జ్ చేస్తాడు, ఆ ట్రాఫిక్కి, ఆ బ్యాండ్విడ్త్కి ఛార్జ్ చేస్తాడు. తన డేటా సెంటర్ నుంచి బయట నుంచి ఏదైనా తన డేటా సెంటర్ లోపలికి వచ్చేది ఆ ట్రాఫిక్ ఉంటుందా, ఆ ట్రాఫిక్కి హీ వోంట్ ఛార్జ్. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ వాట్. సో రిక్వెస్ట్ పేజ్ ఏంటి అంటే, సో if you want to, so let us assume a website better and you had some data. So here in this cases, so whoever the access, whoever raise a request to access your data, they'll get charged. They have to pay the charges for their requests for data transfer, not for the data. A data transfer ki they'll pay that amount. That service is nothing but request pays. So here you can see enabling request pays on this bucket causes the requesters, or instead of the bucket owner, whoever the request is, they have to pay for the charges of request and the data transfer. This is what the concept of request pays. Next, transfer acceleration. So నార్మల్గా బకెట్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ కన్నా ఇంకా అడ్వాన్స్డ్ ఫీచర్స్ ఎనేబుల్ చేసి చాలా ఫాస్ట్గా ఇఫ్ యూ వాంటెడ్ టు ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ ద డేటా బిట్వీన్ your client and this Amazon S3, or if you wanted to transfer the data between different buckets through cross-region replication, such kind of scenarios, you go with transfer acceleration. So Amazon S3 transfer acceleration makes data transfer into in and out of the Amazon S3 bucket 300% faster than normal performance. ఇప్పుడున్న performance కన్నా if I enable this transfer acceleration on this, it will get 300% faster on performance improvement. So ఇక్కడ ఏంటి see comparison. See from my location I want to see the comparison tool. What is the difference between normal transfer and the data accelerated transfer type? To Singapore, నా computer నుంచి to Singapore, it will try to upload some data and it will showcase the time and the latency. This is for Singapore. This is for all other regions. Oregon, Dublin, Singapore. It will take time. It is pending. Request is pending. So ఒకటి fulfill చేసుకుంటూ వస్తుంది. The chart లో it will show you like this. See from my computer to Dublin, when I compare normal data transfer with when I enable this S3 accelerated transfer model, so I can gain 9% slower, 9% faster. So this normal data transfer is 9% slower than this faster transfer upload accelerated speed type. అలానే these are all the different regions. Virginia అయితే 16%, Seoul కి 75%. So Singapore same, Sydney same. So you have to compare this model, and if you feel in such cases, Seoul, this is very high latency, right? In cases you have to enable this, because considering not the amount in mind, for that also you charge extra amount, considering the clients in mind. So this is what all the properties of bucket. So guys, today we'll end this class for here, and what we'll do tomorrow, we created a bucket, right? We'll do the practice session, like we'll host a website, static website on one bucket, and we'll enable this logging, versioning, replication. Tomorrow I'll do this and I'll show you on the real time. Okay, until then you go through this white papers again, whatever the topics we have gone through, this theoretical topics on today's class about S3 bucket. So any doubts on this?
No, Karthik.
No, from Srinivas. So what about you, Srikanth? Any doubts you had? Yes, Bhavin, any doubts?
No.
Arun, any doubts from your side?
No, please.
Clear. Naveen?
No, nothing.
I think Naveen, you yesterday pinged me, right?
Yeah,
On
I was just
WhatsApp.
checking for few things.
Someone pinged me on WhatsApp. Is it you? So what I did is I forgot my phone on yesterday and I went to office. So I came at around 9:30 night. I watched that you were the message on that time. Okay,
Okay.
I'll reply you for today that problem.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, same Kishore. Any doubts? He messaged me saying that it's clear. Okay, that's it for today. Please go through the white papers. Just type Amazon AWS S3 on Google. AWS S3 documentation. You can see the getting started guide, developer guide, or console. You go with console user guide. Whatever I said is something regarding the console user guide. Developers guide is like if they wanted to integrate this bucket with their product. As I said, web server నుంచి data dump చేస్తారు. Considering these scenarios, then you go with developers guide and API reference guide. Through API, how to upload the data, how to create a bucket, how to create a file in the bucket, such cases. Okay, go through this consular user guide and getting started guide. It's up to you. Okay, we'll meet in tomorrow class. Okay, bye. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.